Earlier this week, we got a new update for Fallout 76, which also kicks off a brand new season. Unfortunately for 76, this update was overshadowed by Gamescom and all the new Starfield news and interviews. This means we have a lot to talk about, so let's get right into it. Starting with Fallout 76, we got a new update to the game with a new season titled Fight for Freedom. Season 14 is packed with all the great goodies that we always see in these seasons. I don't want to do a deep dive on this season though, since there are very few things that really stand out for me as far as the rewards go. While there are some really nice things that we will earn for our camp building, most of it is stuff that has already been in the game for some time. Many of those items have been in the game files as set pieces or were carryovers from Fallout 4. Don't get me wrong, I do love that we can build these items now like military vehicles and whatnot, but it just seems like a lack of creativity involved with this season. Now, I do want to give a bit of praise too, because one thing I do like about this season is that the rewards are on theme, and this does seem like the way seasons are going to be going forward. The rest of the update, however, does make many changes to the game and includes a large number of bug fixes. We also see in this update the beginnings of a game rebalancing effort. This begins with several changes to health, resistances, and weapon damage for super mutants, protectrons, mole rats, Mr. Handies, Mr. Gutsies, feral ghouls, scorched, glowing ones, assaultrons, mirelurk kings, mirelurk crabs, cave crickets, rad scorpions, anglers, all three floater variants, mutant hounds, liberators, and mirelurk hunters. This update also added new items to the rewards pool for Meat Week, so finally we have a reason to participate in these sometimes overplayed events. Remember that new free cam mode that we got for camp building? Well, this has been expanded into photo mode. Finally, we can get into really taking some awesome pictures, and this is going to be huge for the virtual photography community. Creature spawns at many locations have been changed, so if you think you know where to find certain creature spawns, you may want to go and check those places again, as they may have changed. As far as the other changes go, if you want to know more about what was changed, follow the link in the description below to see all the patch notes. Now that the 76 news is out of the way, it's time to make way for the real star of the show, Starfield.
Please welcome your host, the creator of the Game Awards, Jeff Keighley.
Hello, Germany, and hello, everyone watching live around the world. I am Jeff Keighley, and welcome to the world's biggest in-person video game event, Gamescom 2023. Now, this right here is kind of like the opening ceremonies for Gamescom. It's a preview of this year's most anticipated games. We call it Opening Night Live. And over the next 2 hours, you'll get exclusive new looks at titles like Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3, Alan Wake 2, Assassin's Creed Mirage, and Mortal Kombat 1. But first, we're going to kick things off with the first new franchise in more than 2 decades from a legendary game studio. And to help us step into the vast world of Starfield, please join me in welcoming the composer of the game, Inan Zur, for a very special performance. Maestro. Starfield is ever so close. And Inan, thank you so much for that spectacular performance. Really appreciate you coming all the way for this. It's true, in just over a week, fans will start to play Starfield in early access on Xbox and PC. Well, I've been lucky enough to start playing it. Don't be jealous. I'm not allowed to say anything about it. Yes, exactly. All right. Well, guys. Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, guys. Really disappointed. They're disappointed. That's just so disappointing. This is such a special night for so many developers, and it's really disappointing to see someone act that way. But we're going to move right on with the show. We've got a lot of great games to show you. Really, it's just so sad to me to see something like that happen. Tonight, we're here to celebrate games in this community and how much they mean to us. So, without further ado, I want to move right on with the show because we've got a lot to show you. And the good news, Gamescom, is we have someone very special here who can be here to talk about Starfield. Please join me in welcoming to Opening Night Live in Gamescom for the first time ever, one of our industry's greatest creators, the director and executive producer of Bethesda Game Studios. That's right, Todd Howard, everybody. Todd, thank you so much for coming all this way to Gamescom. We have a lot to talk about with Starfield, but first of all, is this true? This is your first ever time at Gamescom?
This is my first Gamescom, and you were right. You said how great the crowd is here, and and just all the fans that come here for the biggest convention in gaming to celebrate games. And I figured, it is our first new franchise in over 25 years. So if I was going to come, it's for Starfield.
Well, we all welcome you to Gamescom in Germany, and we're all very excited to step into this new world, Starfield, and the next week, early access. Set up for people, why did you want to make this game, Starfield? Why did you want to create a new world?
I think like a lot of gamers out there, we have dreamt of a game where we look to the skies and we can blast off into space and explore. We love to make games where we can explore these worlds. We've done like with the Elder Scrolls and the Fallout series, but we wanted to do something brand new where you could explore with complete freedom in the galaxy. It's a game we've always wanted to play that we think a lot of people wanted to play as well. It's kind of that dream game.
Yeah, I wish I could talk about it, but it's quite an experience, and I know everyone here is very excited to jump in soon. You did bring some stuff to Gamescom to show to fans. I know there's a theater. Tell us, I know you've been sharing a little bit about the game, but I know there's a lot you want people to discover when they play it. What did you bring here to Gamescom? Yeah,
it's really cool. We've built a 300-person seat theater where we're actually showing the beginning of the game, and you start out as a miner, and you touch this artifact that affects you in some way, where you see a bit into space-time, and then you get to create your own character. Our games are about creating and being whoever you want, and then you're off on adventure.
Yes, let's talk a little bit about this adventure. I know, people have been wondering kind of what the main quest line is going to be after you create your character, which is something that I know. I saw even someone on the internet this week created you, I think. Did you see that? Someone tweeted out a picture. They somehow figured out.
I see a lot of things on the internet. I don't know. I'm not sure that's real.
Well, the thing is, I think you could literally create whoever you want and then enroll yourself into this adventure. And tell us about sort of how the adventure starts. What can we expect?
Well, you jump off. You're joining Constellation, which are the last kind of group of space explorers, like NASA meets Indiana Jones searching for these artifacts. But the story goes a lot of places. The game has a lot of surprises that we haven't talked about. I don't want to spoil them here, yes. But really, really happy with how the story turned out and where it goes.
Yeah, it's such an epic experience, and you and your team have done so much for this industry, and the fact that you guys have worked through COVID, building this and coming on the other end, we're so excited for everyone to get a chance to play it. So thank you for all you've done for our industry, Todd. Everyone, Todd Howard.
Thank you. Can't wait for you to play the game.
Thanks so much, Todd. Really appreciate it.
I have to say, Enon Zur is such a great musician. I could listen to him playing the piano all night. Gamescom kicked off with his performance, and of course Todd Howard would come out to help kick off the show by talking about none other than Starfield. The only blemish on the whole thing was the guy who came on stage shouting about GTA 6. Dude, sit down and shut up. No one cares about what you want. We want Starfield, and you had to try to get your 15 seconds of fame. Sheesh. And what about that live action trailer? That took my breath away and gave me goosebumps. This game is going to be so special.
Thanks, Todd, so much for joining us. We're here at the Starfield Theatre. What are fans expecting to see?
We're actually showing everybody the beginning of the game here. It's kind of edited down, but they get to see how it starts, a little bit of character creation, and then they're off on adventure.
Yeah, brilliant. I've seen some of the reactions of people coming out, and it's everyone looks super excited.
All right, good.
Can't wait to see. Also, how's it back home? How are the team holding up with this close to launch?
This is it's tight time. I mean, the game's pretty much done. We're doing a couple final tweaks. There's a lot of things that go into a game of this scale actually launching, but super excited. We love the game. We put so much into it. We just hope everybody out there loves it as well.
Yeah, I know everyone's super excited. And being here at Gamescom, what goes into the preparation for yourselves and the team at Xbox?
Well, you look at this booth, I mean, I don't know, you're asking the wrong person. I look at this and it's just incredible, the scale of everything. I don't think the camera can capture it. I'm kind of blown away. For us, we put a video together. It gets a little bit easier to make videos when the game is just about to come out because things are done. So honestly, our part was easy. Super exciting to be here and see the excitement from the fans. it means a lot to us.
Yeah, and you mentioned like the booth here is massive, but Starfield itself is one of the largest game undertakings that we've ever seen. What are fans going to expect when they get their hands on the game?
Well, I think, if they played our previous games where you can kind of make the character you want and go do what you want, it's hard to express how big the game feels when you play it. Like, well, there's a planet. I can really land anywhere. And it is a game, even I will admit, that the kind of, you sit down, you're like, I'll play for a half hour, and then 3 hours go by, and you're like, what? It's just, I like to say the more that you give to Starfield, the more you put into it, the more it gives back.
Yeah, I'm personally super excited to get my hands on it. Also, I'm going to go and experience the experience for myself. Hopefully security let me, but thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me. I just hope everybody loves the game.
All right, thank you.
Thanks.
Todd didn't really give us much in that interview, but I did want to touch on the exclusive show that was given to the Gamescom audience. Footage from that was leaked online, and while I would love to show you all that footage, I won't, and here's why. First, showing that would get my video taken down right away, as this has already happened just about everywhere. 2, and this is the most important reason, I really don't want to spoil anything at all in terms of the starting experience for you. We only have to wait a few more days now, so I think not showing any spoilers is best. I want you to be able to enjoy the game and see it fresh for yourselves. Now, I do plan to live stream this game right away once it goes live, so keep your eyes peeled for that. I've not settled on any time just yet, but it will probably be in the evening hours, which is Eastern Standard Time for me. Let me know in the comments as to what times you would like to see me stream, and I will do my best to find the right place for us all. Moving right along in the abundance of news surrounding Starfield, Pete Hines was making the rounds, and he actually has 2 separate interviews. The first interview took place on day 1 of Gamescom. As we know, this year was Todd Howard's first Gamescom, but Pete has been a staple at this event for many years and was very happy to be back to talk this year about Starfield. The first question that was asked was, what do the last days ahead of the launch look like for him and the team?
It's in some ways it's probably the most difficult part of a campaign. Because number one, how close it is. Number 2, the amount of work that our teams right now, and shout out to all of those folks who are, number one, crushing it, doing an amazing job with the trailer at ONL last night and everything that's been a part of this campaign. They are working so hard. And you're also just sitting here where you've now given the game to a bunch of people, to press, to influencers, and you don't really know what they think or how they're feeling. And so it's a little bit helpless, so we try and focus on the things that we can control, and most of all, we're just so excited for next week and to get this into people's hands.
I love the honesty here. Pete has never been one to shy away from a question. Even if he can't say something, he will still tell you straight up. Pete is definitely one of my favorites at Bethesda. The next question wasn't really a question, but more of a statement, adding to what Pete said about the uncertainty of things.
Yeah, and if I'm being honest, there's really not an amount of time that I'm comfortable enough of now you've played enough Starfield to get what this game is. Because I'm at 150, 160 hours on my current playthrough, and I haven't even come close to there is so much stuff I have intentionally not done. It's we try and tell everybody how big this game is, and the folks that are playing it, one of the few things they will tell us is, you weren't kidding how big, I can't believe how big it is. It's content and explore, no matter how you want to play, there is so much for you to do in this game.
You mentioned opening night live.
Once again, honesty is the best policy. Starfield is a massive game, and having not played it, not seen anything you have not seen, I can tell you there is much more than meets the eye. The next question was kind of pandering to the German audience, but it asked, why bring the experience of Starfield to Gamescom?
I mean, for one thing, our games have always done really well in Germany. It's obviously, it's a really well-known PC market, and we obviously came from being an indie PC developer and publisher before we were anything else. But this audience and role-playing games and what they mean in Germany, it's a very popular genre. And, you know, across Elder Scrolls and Fallout, Bethesda Game Studios has got a really big following in this territory. And for all the folks who come to Cologne who aren't in Germany, and we just felt like this close to launch to try and do something special for them, you know, to sort of surprise and delight and to just be here and to, you know, take pictures or have a conversation or whatever. You know, we want to make sure that they feel as special as they are to us.
It's cool for me to see that you've got that glass cabinet full of all the different Starfield paraphernalia. We got the Series X console wrap, we got the Constellation Edition watch, and that helps me feel at least like we're so tangible. It's like, it's right there. I can even like grab it. We're so close to launch.
Plus it's really good like shopping for birthdays.
Oh, yeah.
I want that. I need that.
Yeah. Yeah. You've got the watch on already.
Yeah.
I'm jealous. Trust me.
I love the watch. Yeah, we're really excited both for like how good the game is, but the way in which Xbox has supported us with, you know, console wraps and like the controller and the headset is the best piece of hardware. Like they are so good. I use them nonstop.
Yeah.
Full credit to that team. But across Xbox, the way that they have stepped up and supported and amplified Starfield in every way possible has been just awesome to be a part of. We're so pleased for all of the support that they've given us.
The answer moved quickly from pandering to the accessories that are being put out, like the watch and the console wraps. Not really much of substance with this one, but really good to hear nonetheless. Pete was then asked to catch everyone up on the news of the day for Starfield.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, I want to say, you know, I am a few weeks away, whatever the number is, 6 or 7, from 24 years at this company. Wow. That is the best trailer we've ever made, and I will have words with anybody who says otherwise. It is my favorite thing. I had absolutely nothing to do with that trailer, full disclosure. That is my team, that is Aaron Losey's team going out and making that happen, and
get your flowers, guys.
The tone that it hits, the way that it hits that feel of not just what it's like to play the game, but sort of the hopefulness, the lifting others up. I think it's brilliant. But you know, it's not just that. It's, hey, we've got wraps for your Xbox console. You know, something Xbox has never offered that look really great. You know, we've released a bunch of new wallpapers, desktop wallpapers and phone wallpapers that have been made. Like we are now in the point, I said last night to the folks after dinner, like, there is no emergency brake anymore on this launch, folks. Like, we're a go whether we're ready or not. So everybody, like, make sure your seatbelt is fastened because this is happening, and it's, you know, there are very few chances. Todd and I try and reinforce this to our respective teams as much as we can. You don't get many opportunities at a game like this. Games of any kind, you know, is a finite number for anybody in development or publishing. But for something like this, for as special as it is, for as long as I've been here and to see what these different launches are, you can tell when something special is happening. And I think Starfield is that. And, you know, I really have tried to emphasize to our teams, like, amidst all of the hard work, like, please find time to enjoy this, because you never know when you get another chance to be a part of something as special.
Pete was, of course, referring to the live-action trailer at first, and boy oh boy was that a great trailer. The marketing team did an awesome job with that one. The part of his response that I want to talk about is the bit where he told his team that this is it. No more brakes to be pumped. It's go time. Pete has seen so many game launches in his career, and I think this one is the one he is most proud of. You can just tell by how he talks and his body language. He is truly excited about this game. Pete told his team to soak it in, the feeling of just how special this moment is. I am with him on this. Starfield is a special moment, and I just know it will be an instant hit. I would even go as far as to say this is a game of the year, which is something that Bethesda has not had in a great long while. Pete was then asked about what it is like leading a team that is making a game of this scale.
Yeah, I mean, you know, as you all have seen, as you've watched how we've talked about Starfield, it really required us to push ourselves in terms of how do you get the rest of the world to wrap its head around a game of this size and scope. I mean, it is literally, it feels when you're playing it almost like there are a bunch of different games inside of one game, and I get to decide how much time I want to spend in a way that you haven't really seen in a Fallout or Skyrim. I mean, those things are still, you know, oh, I can spend all my time just picking flowers in the Elder Scrolls. Like, yes, you can, but it doesn't feel as as wholly different as like the entire space game that exists, the entire live on a planet, just like the freeform exploration, the combat, the which factions taking sides, the player. It's just amazing to see it all, how it all comes together. But explaining that to folks in a way that is digestible, it's how you end up with something like Starfield Direct, which I mean, it's basically a feature film that we created just to explain to folks and to talk to folks about. Not just explain what the game is, but do it in a way that I just thought was really authentic, and hearing from the people making it, how they think about both creating it, how they think about playing it, and seeing the way that resonated with players, I think was really special.
Well, he's right. How do you explain a game that has this level of detail on such a grand scale to a general audience? Well, you make a mini movie like the Starfield Direct. That's how. Even with that, though, we were left with unanswered questions and, moreover, wanting more. I think the lead up to the launch went through many iterations. We saw several attempts at explaining the game to the audience with smaller features like the Into the Starfield series and the Starfield questions, but they never quite hit the mark. I think that is why they stopped, and the focus was instead put into producing one as all-inclusive as could be feature in the Direct. The next question was about the Radiant Quest system and the dynamic nature of the engine.
And then, because we made an irresponsibly large game, we take it to another level that I think, and this is one of the things I'm looking for, we've seen it ourselves. Like, I was just talking to a couple of folks from our Benelux office who were like, they've both played, about the same amount of time, like, 40 hours or 60 hours, but their experiences were like, we didn't do any of the same things at all, like not even close. And just with that, and then the whole locations aren't the same for every person. Like what you and I find going to explore this planet, I can't just tell you should go here and land here and find this. Like, that might not be there for you. Like, you get to find and have an experience that truly feels like your own in a way that I think folks are going to really enjoy and appreciate.
Pete's answer is exactly what I love about Bethesda games in general. Starfield is taking what they do best and expanding on it to a degree that no one is going to expect. The only drawback here is that because of the dynamic nature of the game, making content is going to be much more challenging than it is for other Bethesda games. Pete was then asked about why he has been playing the game and what type of character he plays.
Well, look, when we're in this phase and leading up, I don't play like I would, I don't play like I'm about to when I get back home. Where okay, now I'm going to start like this is Pete's
You got a job to do right now.
Up to this point, it's been Bethesda's character, and sort of the way I've approached it is sort of testing. I mean, I've been doing this for a long time. I've been interacting with our players playing Bethesda Game Studio stuff for a long time, so we know how they think. And I talked to Jamie after E3, and she's like, I don't get this. Like, why is this such a thing? And I said, Jamie, what you did is you tapped into the silliness factor that you sort of tend to forget. Like, you talk about Starfield, and but it's still fun. Like, it's supposed to be about fun, and you put your finger sort of right on the pulse of the kind of nonsense that our players love to get up to, because we make a game that is about freedom, right? We embrace chaos. We give players more freedom than I think in a game like this than people really dare to in their games. That's part of what makes Starfield special. And look, that creates situations that we have to do a lot of work to make sure this doesn't break, this doesn't create problems. But the payoff for that and what players are allowed to do, wait, I can do this? I can spend all my time doing something as ridiculous as this? Yes, if that's what you want the game to be about, that's what you should do. But we want you to go and push and try all of the different ways, because it's really not about our story or how we want you to play. It's about how you want to play. So when I play, I spend time I'm going to spend a week and not land on a planet. What's it like to just be in outer space, spend all my time in outer space, landing on star stations, derelict ships, doing all this stuff. And then I'll be okay, now I'm going to go land in this city, and I want to see how long I can spend not leaving this city. How many factions can I find? How many quests can I do? And I'll get to decision points where it's look, you're about to, you have to pick a side here. And I'll make a save, and I'm going to play this way, and I'm going to go 2 hours down the road just to see, how does that feel? And then rewind and play it 2 hours the other direction, just because I want to know, what should our players expect? How does this, and just trying to do that in as many ways as possible. Just land on a random planet and just start walking. Like, what's this like? How fun is this? And the more of it you do, the more you find like there's 1,000 hours in this version of the game alone. Like, if you don't even touch it, it's crazy. And like, my one piece of advice to folks is, do not ignore your activities. Like, that's almost, it feels like throwaway stuff that the game is giving you. Like, there is some amazing stuff in there that doesn't even feel like a real quest, but like will take you to some amazing places and amazing stories. We encourage you to play this like any BGS game, which is like, do what you want, go where you want, test the game, you know, be the kind of player, the kind of person you want to be in this world, and see what happens.
I get chills thinking about what I'm going to get up to.
It's going to be a lot. We cannot wait to see all the stories and how people choose to express themselves in this game. It's going to be amazing.
Now that is what I'm talking about. Pete really does know what players will do. I felt like he was in my head for a minute there when he started talking about just landing on a planet and just walking off and exploring for hours. That is so me. Even just flying around in the galaxy and not landing on planets is interesting to me as well. The one thing Bethesda has always been great at is just giving us the ability to do what we want, when we want, without having to feel like we have something specific we have to do right now. This was the end of the first interview, and before I get to his second interview, we're going to talk about Phil Spencer's interview at Gamescom. For this portion, I am going to keep it to Starfield specific questions since most of the interview was just general conversation. There was really just one question asked about Starfield, and that was how he feels about the launch being as close as it is.
Yeah, we've been working on it for a long time. I've known about it for, even before we acquired ZeniMax. So it's been great to see Todd and the team work more closely with them than we ever have on any game. There aren't that many moments where we get to launch a new IP that has the amount of buzz and anticipation that Starfield does. A lot of games you'll launch that are new IP and then maybe they build into their strength, but like there is just a crazy amount of anticipation. And the thing that I love is the confidence that the team has right now, like putting out review codes 2 weeks before launch, because it's a big game. And I'll be the first to admit, the first 3 to 4 hours are a little bit hunt and peck, figure out like, well, what am I actually doing? Then you get on a side quest or something and like the game just like blows up in terms of its epic scale. So I love the fact that the team is so confident in giving reviewers time with the game before they're actually reviewing or just talking about what they think of the game.
Obviously he is excited and believes the game is ready. It was interesting to hear him mention the fact that the game really opens up about an hour into it. I wonder what he means. Well, I guess we'll find out soon enough. Now we can move back to Pete Hines with his second interview. This one was a bit awkward at times. I think the young ladies conducting the interview were either nervous or just unsure of themselves, or maybe a bit of both. At times, Pete was kind of guiding them along. Even so, there was some good information given. The first question asked, when did he first hear about Starfield?
Right.
Don't tell me 25 years ago.
No, around the time that Todd first pitched this to our now departed chairman of Bethesda and ZeniMax, Robert Altman, and he had this idea for wanting to do a space game, and this was 8 years ago, 10 years ago, and really, like, he had an idea, which was, I want to do a massive outer space game, and I want to call it Starfield. And listen, like, you need to understand and respect how crazy that is to go. Like, we're about to finish. This would have been Fallout 4, I think. We're about to finish and ship Fallout 4, and Todd's pitch was like, listen, I don't want to go back and have the next game be the Elder Scrolls. Like, I want you to let us make this thing we've always wanted to make. And, to his credit, Robert didn't balk at the idea of, because if you're Robert, if you're the chairman, like, hey, the biggest thing in this company's history is the Elder Scrolls. Like, so you're going to go make another Elder Scrolls game, right? Like, I can hear them. They're all yelling for another Elder Scrolls game. Todd's like, I know, but we've always wanted to do this thing. And like, if we don't do it now, I don't know if we ever will. And Robert said, okay, let's do it. I'm excited. He heard Todd's pitch, and Todd was like, we need to save this name. Like, I love the name. We need to have the name. And fast forward, and here we are about to release this whole thing to the world. Yeah. And it's scary and exciting. It's sort of all the emotions. But given how much we've all gotten to see it and play it and how long we've worked on it, like it's time. Like we need to turn this over to the people who make a game, which is all of the players who take it and make it their own and share their stories. And I mean, we're a week away.
Yeah, that's so scary. But it's actually a good point, because that's what people tend to forget, I think. I mean, we work on those games for a long, long, long time. Giving it away is kind of heartbreaking.
Scary.
It's scary. It's because you're like, okay, now it's out there. Now people can talk about it. They can do it whatever they want to.
No, they can judge it.
They can break it.
Yeah.
I mean, we do spend so much time trying to like protect it, right? Like not have it leak out there, not have people know about it before like we know what it is or what's good about it. And you are essentially taking it from being a thing you're protecting internally to hand it over to the world, and boy, I hope they love it as much as we loved it. And my hope and my belief is there are a lot of people who are going to.
Could it be possible that his makers? Yeah.
Closer.
Thank you. Just more to your mouth, please.
Test.
I could hear everything, but
It sounded like my mic went out all of a sudden.
okay. But is it working now, Chad?
Yeah, it sounds like your
Didn't
mic
sound
is
like it.
off. Yeah.
Move his mic closer. The mic is kind of low. We lost the
How
sound.
that? 1, 2, no?
We lost the sound on Pete. Sound is gone.
No, it's just too quiet. It's not gonna
Yeah.
all right. Not.
Okay. Good stream.
Thank you.
Thank
Let's
you.
have a
Thank you
stream
very
now.
much.
Okay.
Thank you.
How about this? Are we giving away anything? You want to take a pause?
So it was first pitched right as Fallout 4 was shipping. It was Robert Altman, who at the time was the head of ZeniMax, Bethesda's parent company, that listened and approved of the game. Near the end of Pete's answer, his headset stopped working properly, but that didn't faze him one bit. I love how he just had some fun with it. You could tell he was trying to draw them out of their shells a bit. The next question asked what people could expect to see from Gamescom.
Yeah, like we didn't go overboard because like we are launching a game in a week and we have so many people who need to focus on all the things that happen for that to go well. But we wanted to give folks a taste for showing sort of a condensed version of the beginning of the game, so you kind of get to see how you start, character creation. You just get a little sense of how it feels to play the game. It gives folks a sense of like who you get to be. And, you know, the game starts very narrow focus. You're underground, you're a miner. It's sort of like not spectacular and cool. And then you get to emerge out into like, not just like, oh, you can go to that mountain. Like, no, there's way more to this than just that mountain or walk this way. There's planets and systems and the size and scope of this as the game reveals itself to you can feel a little daunting, but you know, I feel like once you get a couple of hours in, there just starts to be this moment where you understand how all of these things fit together for you, right? Not for us, because we don't want to say, oh, you have to do these things, you have to do those things. Like if you don't want to do ship combat, that's what the grav drive's for, right? Like people run away from fights all the time. Like, just use your grav drive, jump to somewhere else. You don't have to get in combat. We want you to find your way and who you want to be and the stories you want to tell, because it's your game.
That's the key message for the game, so that you can have an adventure on your own. And
and then there's another moment that happens where you start to see and hear about the things that other people are doing, and it's another way that the game is able to reveal to you just how big it is, because you do so many different things than somebody else. Even like the number of hours doesn't matter, right? Like telling somebody, oh, I played Starfield for 40 hours tells you nothing about what that person has done. Like I had a conversation with Todd, this was a couple of months ago now, I think. And he was like, you know, how far are you in? I was like, I just hit 80 hours. And he's like, so what did you think of the main quest? And I said, oh, I haven't done it. Like, at all. And he goes, what are you doing? Like, I need you to play. I was like, well, I was doing all these other things. I'm trying factions and seeing, you know, what does it feel like? He's like, you have to play the main quest. And so 80 hours in, I went from doing one game to a completely different game where I started really focusing on the main quest. And then I got so caught up in the main quest that I spent the next 50 hours just doing that. Like I forgot about all the other things because I got so wrapped up in the story And like we intentionally don't talk about the main quest a lot because truthfully it is super spoilery. But I'm here to tell you that this game doesn't really even get going until you finish the main quest.
Okay.
Yeah.
Secretive enough.
Yeah.
But again, you don't have to, but what they've done there, that story, it's my favorite Bethesda Game Studios story. It's my favorite Bethesda Game Studios ending to a story. And I think and hope people enjoy it as much as I have.
The interesting thing here is how Pete's answer kind of tied into what Phil Spencer said, in that the game really opens up after you get a couple of hours in, so we apparently have quite a bit to do just to get things going. The other part was that he said the game really starts after the main quest is completed. I have so many questions about that. What this does tell me is that, like Fallout 4, we get to continue playing even after finishing the main quest, so we don't have to feel like we have to do everything else first. Pete kind of drove the next question by asking what they were looking forward to do, and the answer was the shipbuilding, but you can't just jump into that. This allowed Pete to add to that.
Although that's a really good point, Franzi, and something I don't want folks to miss, which is like you literally can't do everything immediately. Like this is still a role-playing game, and you are still playing a character that has skills, and those skills determine what you can or can't do. So you can't just see a Class C ship and go, oh, I'm going to capture that and fly it around. Like, well, not if you're don't have the piloting skills to pilot a Class C ship. You're not going anywhere. Like you have to spend time getting to be good at piloting spaceships if you want to fly higher class ships. And so that sort of that tension of like the skill of your character and what you want to do, like we want you to make choices and sort of play the kind of character that you actually have to do those things if you want to get better at them or do more of it. And I think folks are really, once you start playing, like you start to understand like, oh, I got it. Like I can't just click a skill and like voila, I can you got to spend a lot of time flying, shooting other, like being a pilot in order to be, a better pilot.
It's like in real life, right?
This part was kind of an important piece to the puzzle that is Starfield. What sets this game apart from other Bethesda games is that you actually have to use your skills to be able to make them better, so that you can do the things that you want to do. While the game will let you pretty much do whatever you want, you may not have the ability to do some of those things right away because your character doesn't have the ability needed to do said thing. Patience is going to be key in this game. The next question was about companions, specifically Vasco.
You get in the game?
Yeah, I mean, he's literally the first one. I mean, before you even join Constellation, he's charged with getting you to where you need to go to. But after that point, it's up to you. We talk about it. Like, it does matter, right? Like, if you have some companions and you do things like I do, which is, if something's locked, I want to know what's behind that. Why is there a lock on this, and what are you trying to keep me from? What's in there? I'm picking that. And it matters what companions you're with. Like, there are companions who will think less of you when they see you picking locks. And so it's like,
oh, really?
Oh, yeah. Like, you can't just go do whatever you want and have any companion
so
be okay with it. Yes. Like, they have different personalities. They have different abilities and attributes, and it actually matters, like, what kind of things you're doing. If if they're standing there watching you, like, hey, that's not okay. Like, oh, crap, I should have left you on the ship.
I like it.
So Vasco is our first companion, and we apparently get him before meeting Constellation. The other tidbit I found interesting was the fact that companions may not like what we decide to do. We have seen this with companions in Fallout, and I think whatever the reaction will be is just the natural evolution of that system. The next question asked if there are any similarities between past game launches and this one.
I mean, first of all, like, important to note, since Oblivion, Fallout 3, like, they haven't been like my campaign. Like, Aaron Losey, who's now our global head of marketing community, like, Skyrim was her campaign. Like, she did that. She was a senior brand manager. She came up with and did that amazing live action commercial. So, like, across the years as we've made these games, it's actually been different people who have come in to work with BGS and sort of help move the ball forward as we figure out how to do another campaign that's different and fresh. And look, one of the things, like, it's not to say that like there isn't super excitement for Doom Eternal or Dishonored 2 or Hi-Fi Rush. It's just, it's different. And I think the difference is probably comes from a place like if you go and look at our player numbers on Skyrim and how many millions of people played Skyrim like last month, you realize that like this is not a game that gets measured in hours. Like we measure engagement. There are still so many people playing the original Morrowind 20 years later that like you measure this in decades, how long people play these games, how much it means to them. And I think that is part and parcel of why things like this feel different, because people who are going to play this, like that's how they feel about this. Like I'm going to lose myself in this for forever, for years.
Pete had an interesting take on this because he's right. People play Bethesda games for years, decades even. Their games have great longevity, and it is because the community loves them and keeps modding them to add in fresh new ideas. I am glad that Bethesda takes this approach with their games. The next question kind of went into how games help with mental health and such.
Or whatever, like whatever is going on in people's lives, whether it's dealing with, the loss of a loved one or being stuck inside and away from others because of COVID, like whatever it's going on, we offer escapism. Like one of the reasons video games is so powerful is it's a form of escapism where you're in control, right? You're not watching a TV show or a movie passively where I'm just going to experience what story somebody else wants to tell. Like, no, this is yours. You get to decide. You have the agency, and it gives you that sense of pride because you made those choices. You did those things. Like somebody else didn't decide that's how that was going to play out.
This one hits home for me. I had a hard life growing up, and I don't mean that it was hard for me because of some pedantic things, but I mean truly hard and abusive most of the time. So for me, games gave me what I needed to get through that. This continues to be the case for me even today. I am much better off now because of games, and they continue to be a source of therapy for me. At this point in the interview, they took a live chat, which indicated the person was going to or already had quit their job because they were going to get lost in the game.
I'm not sure we encourage folks quitting their jobs, but I will say, and I say this jokingly, but like one of the things that I measure like how big a launch is how many notes I get from other game company folks in studios like, hey, you're really screwing up our dev right now because everybody's staying up till 3 a.m. playing your game and showing up exhausted and bleary and seriously, you're crushing us here. Like this game is actually causing a problem right now, and it's it's all with the best of intentions. But like, hey, that's fun when it even happens to us. Like when we handed it out to employees, we had a number of folks who had the like, whoa, I went down the rabbit hole. Like I just hopped on at 10 for I'm going to play for an hour, and then fast forward, it's 4:30 in the morning. Like they've got kids. Like, I really just stepped.
The night is over in 2 hours.
But you can lose yourself in this game for 5-6 hours in the blink. Like you just will not notice that it's gone by because it pulls you in a way that I just find, truthfully, I find it magical.
So I imagine Pete is referring to some of the other studios under the Bethesda moniker. Those other studios would not be working on Starfield directly, but rather indirectly through testing the game and minor support roles. The next question was about the live-action trailer.
I have
6-7
weeks from being at this company for 24 years. It is by far the best trailer.
That's what I said yesterday. I'm not sure if I ever saw a trailer like that before.
And the one that I probably had by far the least to do with. So like it's not because it was my idea or like I did nothing except watch it happen and just marvel at our team and them nailing sort of how to execute this in a way that had, for me, it has heart. Right?
Yes.
Like the Skyrim live action trailer is one I go to. Like the way that set a tone and vibe for the game in a way that the gameplay couldn't, I thought was really something special. But this one took it a step further because it doesn't just set a tone, but it sort of taps into at least a good part of what I think Starfield is about, which is like it's not just about exploration, but there's like a lifting others up with you element to it that I just find really heartwarming and special.
Yeah, maybe we should show it to everyone. We released it on, I need to remember, Tuesday night
what
after
day is
the opening night live. Today's Thursday.
Okay. 2 days ago. So 2 days ago.
So yeah, let's take a look at the trailer and then we can talk a bit more about that. And
let's so good. It's
You got me again.
It's the same for me. I said it in the theater yesterday. I can watch that 100 times and I still get goosebumps.
I mean, I think we have watched it.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, but I don't know why. It's always when I watch the trailer, I get so emotional inside. So I don't know. It's like I have to cry, but I don't know why. Maybe it's I'm proud of it. The trailer is amazing, and I always get goosebumps and emotional, and I think it's amazing. It's amazing.
By the way, I saw something in there. I didn't want it to go miss because I wanted to say something after we watched that, which is like the music in this game and how good Enon Zur's soundtrack is. How many hours of my life over the last 4 months that I have spent when I will leave the game in sort of like a ship in outer space and just let it sit there, and just so that I can sit and leave it on. I'm going to go do this, but I want to listen to the music because it's unbelievable how good it is and how much it amplifies the emotion and tone of the game in different ways as you play through it. It's awesome. And since somebody asked, no, we are not doing a making of Starfield because it's a week to go and we haven't started yet. So listen, I know we do things, we get this a lot, like, hey, you did this previously for a game, like, are you doing it again? That's not, honestly, we get really careful about not just repeating the same thing just because we did it last time. And this game required something different. And we didn't do a making of, but in case you missed it, we did do a feature film-length reveal of this game during Starfield Direct. That 42-minute thing was an unbelievable amount of work. It was honestly almost infinitely more work than a making of because it took so much work, and the filming and the work by the dev team, it was an unbelievable amount of work, and sort of we had to put all of our heart and soul and effort into that as a thing because we just felt like the challenge of explaining something this big to folks in a way like I still don't know what this is. We really had to go wide and deep to an extent that allowed us to explain it so folks go okay, now I get it. Now I understand how, imagine trying to do that Starfield Direct in 8 minutes.
Not possible.
You wouldn't have a clue what we were making. It's nuts.
They were all right. The trailer does evoke an emotional response. Pete went off on a tangent for a bit, but the music is just as important to the tone of the game as the rest of the game is. As for the making of not being a thing, I'm okay with this. Though, to be honest, I would have loved to have produced that video. Another audience question asked if we could get out of the ship and spacewalk.
I don't know. I mean, it's not a thing I've ever done. It's not, it's not a, go float around. You're not jumping out to go fix a satellite. It's
exactly. Yeah, I was of course you can walk on the planet.
I know I have been jettisoned out of a ship in outer space, but that was totally unintentional and highly comical. I tried to, a ship landed on a surface. Todd had this happen to him too, and went and I created a save game because again, I like to test the game when I'm in this phase of what does the game do here, right? Because I know our players are going to try different things, so I would wait until they all went to explore, and I would sneak and follow them and kill them one by one, and then I'd go back to the save okay, they're still on the. I'm just going to bum rush the ship, throwing grenades, kill everybody, and I did, and I went to go into the ship, to enter the actual inside of the ship itself. And the pilot hadn't left the ship, and the door was locked, and he just took off with me in the cargo hold, and the thing is closing. And I was like, oh I have no idea what to do. What did I just do? What do I do now? I'm not prepared for this. And eventually I fell out of the ship for some crazy height and died. And okay, good to know. If there's still somebody in the captain's chair and you run on the ship, you can and will be taken off into outer space. Good luck with that.
Now that's funny. I can't wait to see and do some of those crazy acts. I remember Todd saying something about being in a ship that took off from the planet while he was in combat with one of the crew. It seems like this is going to be one of those cool features that we will have to figure out how to deal with. The next question asked about the first wow moment he had in the game.
Boy, that's a good question. Because that goes back a really long. I mean, honestly, I think the first time was one of those like landed on a random planet. Like I was doing the like, okay, what's it like to go on another planet? How is each one different? You know, because again, as Todd says, like some of them are barren, some of them are not, resources or whatever. And so I was just jumping like, okay, well, let's see what that feels like. Go to a system, land on a bunch of different moons and planets, scan them, see what resources they have. You know, do they have creatures? Do they not? And on one of them, it was just one of those like come out of the ship and like, you know, there's multiple moons and there's another planet over there. And they were, you know, I think it was one of those things where like I was listening to Enon's music. So I just left it there and went to do something and came back and like you can see the moons and the planets. And it was just like, it felt like sitting on another planet and just looking at this beautiful shot. It was, I just left it and sat there for like 5 minutes, just like, this is crazy. This is so amazing. I think probably that it had to be something like that for me. That sort of feels like the first thing that you know, it wasn't some crazy combat thing or this creature or that quest. Like, no, it was just being on another planet and feeling like I'm on another planet. Like I am so far from home and this is so cool.
Now, see, that is what I'm interested in seeing. I love just looking up at the sky and stargazing. It would be infinitely more appealing to be on another world, seeing multiple moons or some gas giant in the sky. There are certainly going to be those moments that we will end up sharing with our friends and family. This game is going to inspire so much conversation after people start playing it. The next chat question was about his favorite food in-game.
They probably want to hear the sandwich.
Yeah.
It's not.
It's not the sandwich.
Jamie has cornered the sandwich market. She owns that. That's hers. We acknowledge that. I don't know if I have a favorite food. I eat a lot of chunks. It's one of the brands in the game. You'll get it when you see it.
I think we talked about that.
Yeah,
already.
chunks
that's
is
out there.
yeah. But like I don't have a specific like I always get this. That's not.
But there is
really
a lot
how
of
I play.
food in game.
I do this weird thing. I mean, as both of you are, I know you're aware. I'm not sure if she's had been to enough meals with me to know. Like I'm maybe the world's pickiest eater, most boring eater, and I don't let my character eat anything in a game that I wouldn't eat in real life.
Okay.
Yeah, like if there's tomatoes in it, I'm not eating it. Sorry, I don't do tomatoes. Like I might be role playing that character, but their dietary tastes are still mine. So I don't like no onions, no tomatoes. Like nope, not eating that. I know it's weird, but like, hey, it's a role playing game. That's the whole point. Is make up those stories in your head about who you are and who you want to be, and I'm not eating that. And I won't eat anything I find out of a package.
Because it could be.
Yeah, because you find things that are wrapped, but you also just find like, there's a half-eaten sandwich, or somebody like took the chunks out of the packaging. Like, nope, not touching that. I don't know where that's been.
Yeah, absolutely. yeah. You don't know where the finger has been.
Exactly.
Touched it.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
This one was just fun, although note to self, don't offer Pete tomatoes or onions. The next question was about the abilities or traits and asked which one is his favorite.
The adoring fan.
No. No.
No, definitely no.
Well, the character that sadly, his name is Colonel. And his gameplay has come to an end because I'm starting my for real game when I get back tomorrow. But I made him wanted. I sort of created this backstory of like former military guy who was like commanded to go like attack a thing, and he refused the order and like disobeyed and was discharged dishonorably, and like whoever kicked him out like still is trying to get him like knocked off because and like so you get bounty hunted like every now and then somebody shows up on a like that. So that's why when ships land, you can't just assume like they might be here specifically to take me out. But again, like one of the amazing things is like there's so many any of those things you have that have a drawback, like you can remove that. There's a way to remove that wanted thing if you want to. It's not like easy, but again, I just think another thing, like as you're playing, you get to evolve and change the story you're telling about who you want to be in this world. I haven't even figured out, like I haven't actually figured out, I'll think about it on the flight home, like who is my character going to be? What am I going to be about for starting
So this
tomorrow?
one is called Colonel.
Colonel.
Is there a reason
He's
why?
because he was the colonel in the military. Old
okay.
guy, gray hair, looks a lot like me.
It's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off for him.
Bold move indeed. Starting the game with Wanted, you have to be constantly on the lookout for some bounty hunter trying to collect. The next question asked about his personal play style.
First of all, I was an actual Boy Scout. I am still a bit of a Boy Scout in our games, so I tend to usually be a little bit of a goody two shoes. Although somehow I managed to justify in my own head that lockpicking is okay. But like I won't steal stuff. I won't carry illegal contraband. Like even though some of that stuff is super valuable and like man, you can make a ton of money. But like yeah, you can also get busted and like yeah, no, I don't want to get in trouble. I'm a good boy or a good like hey, Colonel is he wouldn't do a bad thing that he was ordered to do, so he wouldn't just go and steal things. Like that's not how he thinks. Okay. But if you lock something and you're not going to let him in there, he takes offense at that. Like, what are you trying to keep away from me? I need to know what gun is in that locker. Come on, let me see what's in there.
It's mine.
Yeah. But otherwise, honestly, I'm a bit of a jack of all trades. I like trying a bunch of different things. I am particularly into, especially in this game, I really love how crafting works. Like researching unlocking new things to craft. Like part of that, like how did I spend 80 hours not doing the main quest is like, man, I went down the crafting rabbit hole in a big way. I was just gathering stuff to research and making all kinds of amazing weapons with cool mods. And that I think for me is almost the most fun. Like I got so into that part. But yeah, like I do some stealth. Like I don't just like walking in. So I'll try and like pull out a really sweet sniper rifle that I've built with a suppressor, so the sound isn't giving me away. I'll take out a few things, and then once chaos breaks loose, like yeah, all bets are off. But again, like I can't even talk about the combat and how I play without giving you spoilers. So like you need to try some of the main quest, and you're gonna like, like. Now I get it. Now I get why I have to do this and why it's a big deal.
So Pete likes to play with his morals intact. I generally play that way with at least one character build. Most of the time, I am more like the Han Solo type. Though I will play an outright evil character build too, because sometimes it's just fun to break all the rules. The next question was from the audience, and it asked if you could loot any armor.
I mean, there's no armor. There's just your space suit.
Yeah.
But yeah, like you can take space suits. Yeah, you can get space suits off of folks.
And of course the weapons.
Packs, helmets, weapons.
Yeah. Yep.
I saw earlier somebody asked, "Can you get up on your get up out of your captain seat when you're in space?" Yes, absolutely.
You can walk around in your space.
It's actually kind of important to be able to do that for reasons. Well, because I'm constantly overloaded with junk because I'm gathering up all of this ore and materials I need. And so like I fast travel back to the ship and put myself in the chair. I get up into space and then I get up and go and like, okay, here's what I'm putting in my captain's locker. Here's what goes in the cargo hold. Okay, now I'm going to go to the next place.
Yeah.
This one we saw in the direct, and yes, of course we can. It was also nice to hear that I'm not the only person who is always over-encumbered because I have to loot all the things. The next question asked if there is a level cap.
I don't believe we have a level cap. I mean, nobody's hit it, but I don't think there is one.
Short, sweet, and to the point. No level cap. The next question asked if you are able to kill important characters, whether intentionally or not.
I can't answer that one because I haven't tried, but I'm pretty sure.
Maybe we should try.
Well, if you can, this could make things very interesting or very catastrophic, depending on your point of view. The next question asked if there are other cities outside of the main ones we already know about.
The tone of this game is not like we left Earth and then created like 500 major cities. Like, no, that's not how humanity has expanded. Like, they've made a few big ones, but then, again, like the idea is they didn't stop there. Like, different people for different reasons. You'll come across like a group of people got together and decided we're going to go here and like create a farm and we're going to, grow crops for people on other planets and other places. So it's you know, it's a mix of places that you're going to find. It's not like, oh, how many major, it's going to be a whole blend of things big and small. And again, it's not even cities, right? You can go to star stations that, like, well, it might as well be a city because it's enormous. Right? You can land on a, you know, a giant ship that's like, yeah, that's might as well be a city because it's absolutely enormous.
So that's a kind of. I figured there would be smaller pockets of civilizations scattered about the galaxy. It's going to be fun finding them in my travels. The next question asked if NPCs can pilot your ship.
I don't know.
I don't think so. I mean, I know I should know the answer to that, but I've never not wanted to fly my own ship.
Like, why would
sorry,
you want that?
it never even occurred to me to try.
Are there Easter eggs that you found yet?
Well, if I did, I wouldn't tell you.
I love Easter eggs, so people should find them.
But yeah, I found at least one. Somebody asked, can you have multiple ships? Obviously, you can have more than one ship. Again, you're not flying a fleet. Like, this is not I'm going to have like 8 no, you're not. Like, this is about your ship is a character, right? You're not suddenly giving yourself multiple characters. This is not like I'm a fleet captain thing. You decide which of your ships you want to fly. They have different capacity. So if you have a lot of companions, you might be doing quests where like you want to transport, like people need to get from here to there. It matters how many passengers you can carry on your ship. Or you might say, the hell with passengers, I'm carrying cargo. Like I need a 2-seater that can carry a ton of stuff. So depending on what ship changes, how much you can do of a thing. You might be really into smuggling and want a ship that has a huge shielded capacity to try and smuggle more things past folks so you can make even more loot. But again, like there's trade-offs there.
I bet they can, since you can have more than one ship. It only stands to reason that it could happen. I let this one continue on because many of the questions were just getting quick answers, but each one does have merit in some way. The next question asked if he could give any tips for the beginning of the game.
Yeah, I mean, I'm happy to pass along some general things that aren't very spoilery. I really, really like, very early on in the main quest, like almost the first thing you do after the lodge is, okay, if you're going to start doing that, they're going to, like, okay, we got to get some information. We got to go talk to a person or two. One of the folks you can talk to, although you don't even need to, is somebody who's a recruit for the Vanguard. And the Vanguard is like calling it military is not exactly true. It's basically like you're signing up to help the UC sort of, you're signing up for service. It might be like go, take a bunch of supplies to this outpost, or go these pirates or, these spacers are harassing somebody, go deal with them. But the beginning of the Vanguard, before you even join, he'll tell you like, you need to go downstairs and go through this thing. And you go through like a museum exhibit that does an awesome job of explaining like what happened. Why aren't we on Earth? What happened to Earth? Who's the UC? Who's the Free Star Collective? Who are these religious nut jobs? Like, it really nicely lays out for you, like, okay, I'm caught up to speed now on like what's going on in this world. So I highly recommend checking that one out. I mean, I think that Vanguard quest, that's one of the things that I've set aside to do starting tomorrow, right? There's a bunch of things that I was like, I'm waiting. I'm not going to spoil that. Like, there's got to be something that I leave for myself. So, like, I'm not going to do that, or I'm not going to do that. But that's what I'm really looking forward to going further, because there's some really fun stuff along that. Here's one that is particularly because I know how Elder Scrolls and Fallout fans tend to play our games, which is when you level up, you need to be really, really thoughtful about where you put your skill points, because of the fact that in order to do the challenges of your skills so you can level it up again, you have to do that thing. So for example, like if you want to pick locks, you can't just like, oh, I saved up like 4 skill points and went level up, level up, level up, level up. It doesn't work like that. You level up once, and then it says before you can do anything, you have to go pick X number of locks.
Okay.
So like,
then you can.
So don't level up and go, oh, quick, I'm going to pick lock picking. Like, well, unless you're standing right in front of a lock, or that's what you're actively going to do. Like, wait a second. Like maybe that's what you want to do, but you might find out that you're in space and like, oh, actually what I really want to do is board another ship. Like, well, then you should have picked the targeting skill, because you could unlock that immediately, which allows you to target a ship's engines, which disables it. So you can then get close enough to board it and then hand-to-hand or however you want to kill everybody on board to take over the ship and fly that ship, right? But if you pick lockpicking before, you picked a skill that you can't actually use right now. And you could have, like, oh, I could if I hadn't spent that. Huh? So, like, I've really changed how I think about it. Like, I'm saving my skill points for, like, I need to be able to do this now, right? Yeah. Like, you put it into a research thing. If you're not planning on doing more research right now, like, I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying I have found it that, like, I wish that I had been a little bit more
such a good advice.
And waited until, like, I need to be able to do this now, and this is in my way. Yeah. And because of the skill thing, everything doesn't happen quick, right? Like, so you start off, you can only, for example, fly Class A ships, right? There's multiple other classes. You can't just immediately jump to Class B. Like, you have to go do a bunch of space combat. You have to fight other ships. So if you're not actively doing that, well, don't wait until you get to the point where you're ready to do, like, okay, I'm ready to go fight a bunch of ships, or, like, I got a mission to go take out, like, some Crimson Fleet ships. Like, okay, well, this is my opportunity to embrace that skill and try and complete that challenge so I can level that skill up. That one is big for me. And then the other one, honestly, is just, like, do your thing, man. Like, it doesn't matter. There's no wrong way to play this game. You're not doing it right. You're not doing it wrong. Like, the whole point is it's your story. It's not ours. Like, we're not trying to ham fist anything down your throat and say, no, you must consume this thing. Like, hey, just be who you want. Do what seems fun to you. Explore. And again, you can, like, hop from good to bad as you hop from planet to planet. There's a way to remove bounties, like, because there's so many different factions, and you might tick some of them off. Like, you can go to places where you can get your bounty removed if, the Crimson Fleet is hell-bent on killing you, or you did something to piss off the 3-star collective. So, like, you can always undo and find ways to kind of roll back decisions you've made. But yeah, just, like, try. Like, figure out what it is that you would have fun doing and just try it and see what happens. And then, honestly, the other thing is, like, we love it when you think, like, I wonder if I could, like, oh, I love that sentence. I love that sentence because of the possibility and, like, because you're being creative, like, you're expressing yourself. Yes, like, you're not thinking, like, do they want me to do this? You're like, hey, can I do this? Can I do that? Like, ooh, I could. That was awesome. And, like, by the way, boost packing, pick boost packing. It's so
I was waiting for that. Yeah.
It's so important. If you don't pick it first, like, pick it second. But the boost pack is awesome, and, like, all skills, you cannot use it until you unlock it. So you're going to be. We've had so many people, like, my boost pack is broken. I
saw that on Slack all the time, and then
it's not broken. You don't have the skill to do it. You're just jumping around with a boost pack that doesn't work. Pick the skill. But even that one, like, you can put more points into it, and again, you heard us talk about in the direct how, like, when Tim Lamb is talking about, like, there's sort of the Hollywood version of something, and there's the really, like, brutal reality, realistic version, and then there's the, like, what's fun for the player. And one of the awesome things our designers do is, like, you can play with things like gravity a little bit. Like when people try and struggle, like, why is this so different than Skyrim or Fallout? It's like, well, because we don't spend a lot of time putting you in places where we get to screw around with gravity, where, like, you go to use your boost pack and you're like, holy Moses, like, where am I? Like, I'm way too high. Like, I wonder if I could boost pack up to that. Like, yeah, I bet you probably could. And so people are like, oh, when you explore a planet, you have to walk everywhere. Like, I don't walk anywhere. I'm boost packing all over the place. Like, did you hear my comment before about how I'm Iron Man? Like, that wasn't a joke. I'm Iron Man. I'm flying around, and I don't touch the ground because I've got enough of a boost pack skill that I just get to keep boosting myself. Like, yeah, I haven't touched down at all. There's a mountain towards that. Oh, that's going to be a long walk. Like, oh, wait, low gravity, high boost pack. I just jumped all the way up there and saved myself a lot of trouble. So
there was so much in that. He started off with letting us know where we can go to learn about the history of the universe, and then dived right into the skills and how important it is to be patient when choosing where we want to spend those skills at. Pete was then asked if there was one thing that he would like to hear from media or content creators after playing the game. What would it be?
People are loving Starfield.
Okay.
That's it. That's all I want. Like, and again, you know, I talk about this on and off. I talk about it in our team meetings when I call into the EU folks, which is like, people think about video game companies in terms of like, what franchises do they have? What engine is this on? What technology they use? You know, what number is this? What number is that? And like, that is not what I came to Bethesda for. That is not what has kept me here for 24 years. Like, it's people. Like, the people in this company are awesome. And seeing people make something that makes other people happy is amazing. Like, it's the actual best part of this job.
I agree. I can't imagine I will have anything overly critical to say, though anything is possible. I try to keep an open mind in all things. The last question asked about mod support.
Mods question. Like, yeah, we're doing it. We said we are. There's going to be mods. We're going to release the creation kit. If you've played Elder Scrolls of Fallout, it's going to work like that. It's post-launch. We have no other information. We have a launch to get through, 7 days from now. And then turns out we're launching twice, which again, to your point, like, how often do we launch it twice? Like, it's hard to ESO, I guess, kind of PC and console.
Yeah, but it's different.
Yeah, it does feel different. Yeah, but it's coming. And again, like, I get excited about this game because I love it so much, and I love what we've made and what that team made. But there's a lot more coming, and when you start to think about the kind of communities that come around Bethesda Game Studios games, and putting a tool like that in the hands of people to go, how'd you like to make a planet? Like, how'd you like to do? Like, all of that is going to just be off the charts when you start getting a community to come in and add all the different things that they want to bring to it, their own stories they want to tell, whatever it is, or hell, I have a list of things I already want to mod. So
that was one of my questions. Do you have a list of things you want to do? Like, because when I started playing the game, I had a notebook next to me, writing down stuff, and I was like, okay, I'm a weirdo. But I heard a lot of people are doing that.
Yeah.
Because the game is just so big.
Well, and because of what I said before, which is the game is amazing at, like, I know you thought that was what you were about to do, but I am about to distract the hell out of you in a way you're going to forget you were ever working on that. And it does help. Like, oh, I was supposed to.
Like a to-do list for you.
Okay, so here's one time when that happened. I picked up, you get these mission boards that you can have, and they have different kinds of things. Some of them are just like, this planet is looking for a bunch of this resource, right? And that's the kind of thing where, like, go build an outpost on a planet that has that, and you can mine it and have ships carry it to the. But sometimes it's like, hey, we have 2 people here that need to get, to the Mars mining colony. And it was one of those things where I accepted it. They're on my ship. I'm playing a little bit, and then I put it down, and like I think I went on a trip. It may have, I don't even remember, but I came back, was doing more quests, and came onto my ship, and there were these 2 people, and I was like, who the hell are these 2? Like, why are you on my ship? What are you doing here? And I was like, oh my God, like, I was supposed to be taking them to Mars, and I totally forgot. And like, we're 3 systems away doing something else. They must be. So like, okay, quick, I got to go drop these folks off and then go back. But I'll get back to you in a sec. Sorry, just wait a minute. Let me go do this, and then I'll get you there. And then like, oh wait, we got jumped by these Crimson Fleet guys. All right, let me just do this battle real quick. And then like, oh wait, one of them had this thing that I was looking for, this rare material that I needed to craft this thing. Okay, let me just go grab this real quick. So like, you can really get down the rabbit hole and forget about like, oh yeah, that's why those people are online. I told them I was going to take them somewhere, and I still haven't done it yet. And now time is short. I better hurry up because I'm about to fail this quest.
Oh, I like that one. Yeah, so good. That's good to know that I'm not the only one who has to take notes.
Absolutely.
Of course, there is going to be mod support. Honestly, the only game that did not get mod support that we were told would get it is 76. I believe they wanted to give us mod support for that game, but just couldn't find a way to make it work. But every single player game has it. So what did you think about the live action trailer? Was there anything in the interviews that caught your interest? Will you be playing Starfield? Sound off in the comments below. While you're at it, like, subscribe, and share. And as always, I'm just glad you stopped by, and I'll see you in the next one.